John, I think we're timely as usual. The Phillies are flying to the top of the National League standings, to the top of the NL East, and we have their president of baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski, with us this week.
Yeah, I think this was luck more than skill. They keep winning. We got him a while ago, and I know some people are annoyed that I always say friend of the show, but he is a true friend of the show. I mean, he is a mover and shaker in this game, a future Hall of Famer. He's won two World Series. He's been in the World Series a bunch of times. You may know exactly. It's five or six, something like that. Dave Dombrowski, a terrific gentleman and a Hall of Fame executive, and happy to hear what he has to say about the Phillies. I know not everybody in New York who's listening loves the Phillies, but they're doing a great job. They have a great team. They have a lot of stars, and they have a great guy in charge of their baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski.
Well, at least half the fan base might hate the Phillies, but they're going to have to deal with the Phillies in their life this year, and we're going to ask all the questions about the Phillies, plans for the trade deadline, maybe some upcoming free agency situations, etc. John and I are going to go very deep on what's up with the Mets and Yankees a third of the way through this season. We'll play hit and error at the end if you stick with us on the show with Joel, Sherman, and Jon Heyman. John, we've reached one of those points of the season that we kind of usually take a little bit of a deep breath and try to do some assessment. 2 months through the season, Memorial Day, kind of traditional start of the pennant races, one third of the way through the season. And John, I like the Mets are tied for the second best record in the National League, as you and I are talking about. That actually puts them in second place in the National League to the Phillies. And we'll talk to Dave Dombrowski, the president of baseball operations, later, all about the Phillies. But what I find interesting about the Mets, John, and I wonder if you do as well, they've obviously pitched great. 3/10 of a run ERA better than anyone else. But it feels like I have not seen the best version of the Mets because the offense has not played well. Now, some of that is that Soto has been okay, but he's been bad in the clutch and just not Juan Soto. But there are two positions in particular, catcher and third base, where the Mets might have to make some decisions because the starters at those places have not done real well, and the backups have done a lot better, especially in May. And I wonder, why don't we want to take them one at a time? What do you think about third base, Vientos, Beatty, potentially what it might mean for the DH Starling Marte? What do you think about third base?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right with your assessment. Even though the 34 and 21, as we do this, again, an afternoon game today, so that'll change a little bit, but it doesn't feel great. I will say their pitching has been really good. There are a couple of issues, as you mentioned. At this point, Beatty has played so well that I'm of a mind that I would just put him at third base. It's a little weird to think that Vientos could lose his job one third of the way into his season after he was a hero in October and was great throughout last year. But I'm of a mind that the defense is a concern. Beatty has been really good defensively. We know Vientos at this stage of his career is a little below average defensively. So I would say that Vientos, I would still play him as the DH for the most part, but that's what I would do there. And while I'm at it, I would play Torrens more. I think they are doing that at catcher. Maybe it'll be a wake-up call for Alvarez. I mean, he's obviously still thought of as the future guy and this potential star, but Torrens has been great. He's been great defensively, and he's hit better than Alvarez too. So, I mean, you want to win these games, he's been the better player.
Yeah, John, just to put a finer point on Beatty, in May, 5 homers, 296 average, over 900 OPS, and we were at the Subway Series games. I the Mets won the middle game when Beatty played and played great on defense. They lost the opener and the closer, and Vientos was a big contributor defensively, terrible in both those. I think that if they played Beatty all 3 games, they might have swept the Yankees because the defense was so bad at third base. It just opened things up for the Yankees in that. And I'm with you, like a year ago, like Beatty is this year's Vientos. Last year, he was the surprise. And like to Beatty's credit, this is usually a tough city to get knocked down again. In his case, maybe knocked down 4 or 5 times and come back and provide something. I would run it for a while. And I just have the larger question on Alvarez. It's a little bit like the Volpe question, which was their reputations. They kind of came up at the same time. Their reputations in the minor leagues, they were hitters, and we weren't sure if they could defend. And it turns out that actually defense is the strength of both players. And we're wondering about the offense. Now, Volpe's been better this year, a little bit better. Do we still believe Alvarez has three extra base hits, one homer? It's only about 90 plate appearances since he broke the hamate bone and came back. I'm just starting to wonder about the overall offensive profile of the player.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the wake-up call, as I mentioned, will do him good. He obviously is not performing like they have expected, like he did in the minor leagues. And Torrens has been, frankly, better. So, to me, that's an easy call right now to play Torrens more. I'm not saying make him the starter and don't use Alvarez, but Torrens is the better player. And as far as Beatty goes, we've seen that with guys turning around. Rodon, a different, obviously, situation where he's an established major leaguer, but was not performing like he should in New York for 2 years. Same with Beatty. It's been a couple of years. And it's, obviously even more concerning with Beatty because he was frankly their number two prospect to Alvarez for a while, for a long time. And he looks like a complete player right now and certainly looks like a much more confident player. So I would ride the Beatty. I can't imagine that they won't and won't keep playing him at least at some level. And if you're going to play him at some level, you might as well put him at third, right? He's actually a good third baseman. He didn't have a great defensive rep even at third, and he's been very good at third, and he's been pretty good at second as well.
John, the problem with it is just as far as roster management, and I know both of us are saying maybe he gets the DH at bats instead of Marte, at least until Winker comes back, who seems to be at least another month or 5 weeks for Winker minimum, is that Vientos doesn't have any more options. And so, like, if it turns out where it's Marte and Winker or just mostly Winker, it's like it isn't like Vientos could defend. It isn't like he runs and gives you something. John, you mentioned Rodon. The Yankees have a comfortable lead actually for just past Memorial Day in the AL East, but they have some roster issues coming as well, right? At some point, Jazz Chisholm is going to come back. Does that mean he goes to third? Does it mean LeMahieu goes to third? How does that begin to play around? But the bigger one is someplace out there on the roadway, we're starting to see Giancarlo Stanton get a little closer and closer. Ben Rice popped another homer yesterday. He's come down from a brilliant April to something else, but he generally continues to hit the ball hard. And so the question becomes, John, if Giancarlo Stanton, when and if, what do the Yankees do?
Yeah, I'm of a mind. I've been hearing it from executives forever that this is a good problem, but in this case, I think it kind of is. I mean, maybe Stan won't be able to hit every day. Maybe the rest will be helpful for him. Rice still not, more of a hitter against right-handers maybe than lefties. So, and Dominguez can take a day off every now and then. Everybody but Judge can take a day off now and then. So I don't find that to be an overwhelming problem. I do think they got to shore up the infield somehow and figure it out, whether LeMahieu is going to be a guy. Chisholm is one of the position fillers when he comes back, whether it be second or third, and they'll probably go out and get somebody. I mean, I think the Yankees they look terrific. They look even better than the Mets, and I've been more on the Mets bandwagon. I think the Mets have gotten a couple of wins against bad teams lately. I know the records are similar. I feel a little bit better about the Yankees at this moment. The question I'd have with them might be the bullpen. Even though they strike out a lot, I think they're in the top 5 or 6 in ERA and bullpen for the bullpen. I still wonder about it. I wonder how much trust does Boone have to bring in Weaver after a tough outing, and I think he pitched 4 out of 6 nights or 4 out of 6 games, and make him save a game when it was make is probably a little strong. Have him save the game 5-1 against the Angels. I mean, you got to feel a little more confident than that, right? Does it have to be Weaver every single time? Now we saw when he couldn't use Weaver the following day, he went to Devin Williams, and he's now an issue. He seems to be a guy who's doing much better in the setup role than the closer role. I don't think he's ever getting that closer role back, by the way. So I'm still a little concerned about that bullpen. And maybe I'm wrong, but is Boone not that confident in the other guys? I mean, Leiter's been kind of a strikeout guy, done pretty well. Obviously Cruz is out. That hurts them at this moment. Hill's done well generally. But that would be my concern. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but that's my concern with the Yankees right now.
Yeah, just quickly on the Stanton rise. I always, first of all, I'll believe Giancarlo Stanton is playing when Giancarlo Stanton is playing. What he's really good at is not playing right now. He obviously is a force when he plays, and then once
Right.
he
But
plays
even if
out,
as long as he's in October, he's
yes,
valuable, right? As long as he's
yes.
playing in October. But you're right about that. I get it. I understand. But
And if you hit in the major leagues, they find a way to play. Ben Rice could play 2 games at first a week, rest Goldschmidt, who you want to play the whole season, 2 DH games. It's clear he's going to pinch hit for whoever's playing third base, who's a righty hitter. If Rice is on the bench, there'll be plenty of at-bats there if they're lucky enough to have Stanton and he's able to stay in the lineup. John, I think you hit on something with the bullpen. I thought it was very fascinating. Brian Cashman was on MLB Network Radio over the weekend, and he was asked, like, where does he expect to fill in? And I expected right-handed hitter slash third base and starting rotation. He drew the bullpen in. So I thought that was an interesting thing. Clearly, Williams is not comfortable either closing New York, whatever. He went through a nice period here. I thought the most important thing in the game last night, and I was an idiot who stayed up and watched the whole thing, is uh, Loiza could look great. That was the best he's looked since he's come back, and I continue to believe he's an important piece for them. If he ended up pitching in the eighth inning regularly, I wouldn't be surprised by that. But like Hill hasn't been quite as good as he was last year. So, like also part of the question becomes, John, and again, this is so many steps from now. When Luis Hill comes back, does Will Warren or Yarborough go into the bullpen and help them at some point? That both of them
yeah,
have stuff that can do it. But clearly, this is to your point. I thought you made a really strong point. The Yankees have played really well this year in almost every phase. They've been good offense. They've been really surprisingly good pitching considering the hits they took in their rotation. They're a very good defensive team, which they wanted to get better at. So they're going to be all in July, and they're going to, I think, delve into all of these buckets.
yeah. I don't want to be too negative. Thanks for bringing that up. You're right. Goldschmidt way better than Rizzo at first, and Bellinger can play all three outfield positions well. So yeah, defensively they are better. As I said, I think I'm probably nitpicking a little bit. You're right on Loizaga. He's got great stuff. Maybe he'll be the eighth inning guy. We're demoting Devin Williams again, by the way. This poor guy came here as the best closer in baseball with a 181 ERA, and he's already been demoted once. But he just has not. I know they keep citing no runs in 10 out of 11 games or whatever, but I mean, he's had some bad outings, some really bad outings. So that is worrisome. And I didn't happen to hear Cashman's spot, but that's just my observation that the bullpen would be my issue with them. And you're right, the rotation's been great. Yarbrough has been a revelation. Warren has been excellent. I think Cole has helped out with these guys, so he is providing a service there for that $36 million. And I think we've got it right. I think it's kind of switched to the bullpen. The offense has been fantastic, and the rotation has been very, very, very good.
Who says no? The Diamondbacks lost another game last night. Their bullpen's been terrible this year. Devin Williams for Eugenio Suarez. Who says no?
Oh, I'll take Suarez. I mean, I hate to be the basher of Devin Williams, but I'd have to probably look
Because
at
they
the
brought Lawler up, and
right.
between Perdomo and Marte and
Yeah, I
Lawler.
doubt they want to give up the home run production there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a gamble for them. But
they,
yeah, that's a good one. Right-handed hitting third baseman, there aren't many of them. I
yeah.
mean, Vientos is one, but I don't probably not the
I think the
solution.
Yankees want the defense. I think that they've committed post Soto
Right.
really
No,
good there.
they right. I agree with you. Right. They want defense.
Yeah. So the team that's ahead of the Mets right now in the NL East is the Philadelphia Phillies. Their president of baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski, will join us next. John and I are so happy to be joined by Dave Dombrowski, president of baseball operations of the Philadelphia Phillies. Has led 4 different teams to the World Series, has won twice with the 1997 Marlins, 2018 Red Sox, and by the way, has the team with the best record in the major leagues as we're speaking right now, as his team's in the middle of a series against the Braves. The Phillies are 35-19. Dave, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Uh, Dave, I just wonder if like a place to start a little bit is about the quality of the team. Your rotation is obviously very, very strong, made stronger by your trade of Luzardo. Your offense, Schwarber has been great. Harper's been good, but not great. Like that feels like an area maybe like as good as you've been, it hasn't been great. What needs to get better there for you to be everything you want this team to be?
Well, it's interesting. This morning I was talking to Rob Thompson when I came in down in the clubhouse, and we were talking about our offense. I mean, our starting pitching's been tremendous, as you mentioned, and we have depth there too coming. So we're in pretty good shape in that regard. But it's interesting because I don't feel like our offense has really gelled 100% by any means. And yet we're still among the league leaders in many categories. It's interesting. I just think it points to how much offense is down throughout the game. So I think for us, a lot of it, I think, just becomes an internal improvement for us because I think Schwarber has been the one guy that has been hot from beginning to now. The numbers he's put up has been fantastic. We have a lot of guys that are doing fine. Turner's been doing a lot better recently. Harper, despite saying, okay, he's not really Bryce as you anticipated, he is on the pace to drive in 100 runs right now, too. So I think a lot of it comes from the internal. Bohm doing a little bit better, Stott doing a little bit better, JT doing better, Castellanos, Marsh, Kepler. So a lot of those guys need to kind of pick it up a little bit for us. And then we'll just continue to evaluate what takes place as far as what additions we may need to make. But we don't have a glaring hole there, but we just need a lot of improvements by the individuals. And the other thing I'll say is that the one place we're not really productive at this year, we haven't hit a lot of balls in the gap. I think we're only eighth in the National League in doubles. We have a club that traditionally would be very good in that regard. So we've got a lot of singles, we got walks, we got the on-base percentage. But I think as time goes on, these are proven big league hitters that have driven the ball in the gap, and I think they'll pick that up as the year goes on.
Since I saw Harper be drilled in the elbow by a Spencer Strider fastball, that would cause me to miss about 2 years. I should ask you, when will Harper be back? Is he definitely okay? I saw that the initial reading was that it's negative, that this X-ray was fine. Is he okay? And, he has not been quite as great as he normally is. We feel all right with Harper as well.
Well, in Harp's case, from a physical perspective, I mean, as you saw, the X-rays were negative, which is the positive. I mean, he got drilled hard. Have not talked to him this morning. I'm sure he's sore. He's not scheduled to be in our lineup today. Uh, they made that decision last night. How soon he'll play, I think it's very dependent upon just how the swelling and pain factor is there. So I don't anticipate a lengthy type of process of being out. Harp's are just one of the best players still in baseball is what it comes down to. So I think if he would be our biggest problem, we'd be in great shape. But he's in a spot where he's been productive. He's getting on base. He's driving in runs. He's walking. He's picked it up recently too. So he has picked up his average and driving in more runs. So I think a lot too, and we talk about this. We're in a situation like here today. It's raining. I don't know what our game factor is going to be. It's cold. It's not even going to be 60 degrees here, and it's chilly. We haven't even played in any lengthy warm weather at all. It's been really a tough spring, not only for us, but I'm sure a lot of clubs. And as we know, a lot of these guys, they pick it up. They like to hit a little bit more when the weather gets warmer. And I think Harp will just continue to get better and better. I mean, he's not having a bad year by any means, but like you said, a traditional Bryce Harper year, no, maybe not that, but it wouldn't be surprised at the end of the year we're looking up there and there's that 280 to 300, 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, and being one of the better players in the game of baseball.
Dave, if you do play your game today, Zack Wheeler is starting as we speak. He's has a shutout streak of 22 and in two-thirds innings. I keep waiting for the Zack Wheeler dip that I have not seen due to age and or just how much of a workhorse he's been for the Philadelphia Phillies. I was stunned by this. Do you know he's second in the history of of a franchise that's been around for a long time in ERA plus? The guy I saw with the Mets, I really like Zack Wheeler. I love to talk to Zack Wheeler. I thought Zack Wheeler would be a good major league pitcher. I'm blown away who Zack Wheeler's become. What do you think I don't know. It's just a question. What do you think of Zack Wheeler?
Well, if he's not the best, he's one of the couple best pitchers in the game of baseball. I can't think of anybody in today's game. If it came to a big game at any time during the year in the postseason, I'd rather have see pitch than Zack Wheeler. He's done it for us not only during the regular season, his postseason numbers are off the chart. So he's as good as they get. And I think in Zach's case, he's always very talented, high #1 draft choice. Maybe took a little bit longer to develop than maybe some other people would to put up the numbers. But since he's been with the Phillies, he's been outstanding. And the other thing about him is that he continues to improve on his craft. He works on his craft all the time. He's added more pitches. He throws strikes. He throws strikes with all of his pitches. He commands the pitches. He's got that tremendous delivery and the length towards the plate. So he's just top of the line. He's just really, really good. And every time he goes out there, you expect him to pitch a quality game. And he basically does. So you know you're in great hands anytime he pitches. And again, it's been a little disappointing, I guess only respect that he hasn't won a Cy Young yet because he's that good. But I think it also puts that into his back pocket where he's like that is something he still strives to achieve, not only win a world championship, but to win a Cy Young award.
When people talk about the best trade of the offseason, I most often hear about Tucker or Crochet. But your trade for Luzardo, I would rank that #1 at this moment. How did you pull that off?
Well, I mean, it was one of those, and the Tucker and Crochet trades were pretty darn good. I know that, but it's also one where, in Luzardo's case, they were in a different spot, Miami, than we are. I mean, we know that they're looking to build for the future. We had some good young players. One good young player in particular, Caba, the shortstop. I know that they really liked. The timing fit for them. He was coming off a down year from an injury perspective. I really credit our medical team and him, our doctors, and looking at the injury reports, feeling that they could help him, that things would be able to be stabilized. So it really was the right time, right place. And for me, for us, we had talked about, we just signed Joe Ross to a contract. We looked at him more as being a long reliever or spot starter. So if you can improve your starting pitching, and I've always been an advocate of strong starting pitching. And I think in our situation here, every day, if you can throw out a starter that's equal to or better than the other clubs, it gives you a chance to win. And just like Zack Wheeler, the thing about Luzardo, they have a pedigree. I mean, when you start looking back to what they achieved, they were high picks. Luzardo was a little bit lower because he had an arm injury coming out of high school, but they've been highly touted prospects. They got quality stuff. And so for us, it was the right time, the right mesh with the right players to be able to accomplish that type deal. So a tip to our organization too, for having a guy like Caba and Boyd was an outfielder that we drafted in the mid round. So the right matchup with Miami and us at the right time.
Why don't we stick with your rotation, which I think a strong argument could be made that you have the best rotation in the sport because of its depth, because of what you still might have. The one weak link has been one of the better pitchers again in the history of the franchise. Aaron Nola was not pitching well before he hurt his ankle, and now he's hurt his ankle. I wonder if you could give us a progress report on where he is, when he might be back, and do you still believe that you'll see the best of Aaron Nola and why?
I do think we'll see the best of Aaron Nola. I'll start from the injury factor. He's been a traditionally slow starter. So he did out of the gate, he wasn't with the same velocity, a couple miles an hour drop. But then he had all of a sudden he picked it up and he had pitched couple good games in a row, very well against the Cubs. I think it was Arizona. But then right before his start with when he was going to start against Cleveland in Tampa the day before, he twisted his ankle. They told me about it. They thought, oh, it's not too bad. He'll be fine. Well, he wasn't fine. And the reality is it was hurt a little bit worse than what he thought and what we thought. Aaron's tough. He's a gamer. Didn't want to miss a start. I think he tried to push through it. But there's no question if we had hindsight at that time, we wouldn't have put him out there for their next 2 outings. He was just starting to pick up his velocity. So I think he'll be fine. He'll pitch great for us, I think, when he gets back. The timing's been a little slower as far as his rehab is concerned. He really did more of a touch and feel yesterday. We're just making sure he gets through this completely. We don't want him going out there with a sore ankle at all at this point. It's apparent that it did affect him. He can't really push off and twist. He's getting better daily. It's not like it's an imminent return. He could, I think, return on the 30th this Friday. It won't be then, but I don't think he's far behind that. And I do think he'll continue to pitch very well for us. Yes.
Yeah, well, your rotation is, if not the best, certainly one of the best in the game. The one little question about the team would be the bullpen. That's obvious. I don't have to tell you that. Certainly, the Alvarado situation didn't help matters. Are you're gonna be looking to add a closer? That's not an easy thing to do. I think the one obvious guy from the Cardinals was Helsley, and they're doing great. So I don't know if he's going to be available. Your old friend Kimbrel is pitching well in the minors for a rival, so I'm not sure that's going to be a possibility. Is it possible to get a closer, and is it fair to say that's going to be your need, most likely?
Well, I don't know if I'd say closer. I think you have to identify your needs as time goes on, and probably our biggest need is our bullpen. I mean, it has been for us, and you lose Alvarado, so you keep an eye on it. There's different ways to go about it. Uh, Internally, we have pitched better. Romano's pitched much better. He had one bad outing in Sacramento, but other than that, he's thrown the ball much better. He did it again last night. Kirkering has picked it up. Strom is good. Banks is very solid, and we have, I think, other guys that are solid out there. Ideally, you would have some strength in more late inning type guys that can give you a scoreless inning late. We'll keep our eyes open on that. The other thing is, and I don't want to get too carried away at this point, but between our starting pitching right now, we're in a position where, and of course, Walker's in there now. At some point, he will move back to the bullpen when Nola's ready. And we're in a position where he did pitch great out of the bullpen. His velocity ticked up to 95 with a tremendous splitter, fields his position, holds runners. We feel that the potential exists there for him to help us. You go into the postseason, we have 5 starting pitchers that are big league quality guys now, with Wheeler and Nola and Sanchez and Suarez and Luzardo, in addition to Walker. They're not all going to start, so somebody's going to slide into the bullpen for you. And we also have 2 premium pitchers at AAA by the name of Abel, who already pitched here and did great for us, and a guy by the name of Andrew Painter that I know you guys are familiar with, that is as good a pitching prospect there is the game of baseball. So how all that fits together for the back end later in the year, we can wait and see. But one thing is that we do have starting pitching depth. So maybe at some point, some of that can assist us in our bullpen too.
You should come. We should switch spots because I was going to ask you an Andrew Painter question. He's made 3 starts at AAA. We're getting close to 2 years since his Tommy John surgery. July will be 2 years since then. He's obviously made steady progress. Like I said, 3 starts at AAA. Give us a progress report. You mentioned he's one of the better pitching prospects in baseball. Give us a progress report, and how does he work into this at all in 2025 if you have health, or does he not work into it and you just see it as hey, he missed a lot of time. We need to continue to develop the guy.
Well, he's doing very well right now from a health perspective, and his stuff continues to get better and better. Of course, he hasn't pitched off the mound. He's only had 3 AAA starts, as you mentioned. I think he's scheduled to start today, assuming that they play weather-wise too. He's progressing in the fashion that we'd like to. It was an interesting chore we talked about in the wintertime. Pitched in the Arizona Fall League, knew he was healthy, but what we tried to do was figure out, not only from a health perspective, but having him available to pitch later in the season for us, how that would look for bringing him back and the number of innings that he pitched. So we kind of projected him to be ready for Major League, and I've said in July-ish. What does that exactly mean? It depends upon how he does and how we do. But by no means is it guaranteed he's coming up to the major leagues in July, because if your other 5 starting pitchers are pitching great, well, he just keeps going there, and then you figure it out. But I mean, he's still throwing 96 to 100 with a good breaking ball and command. I think what continues to evolve, like a lot of guys coming back from injury, he needs to get out there, get better command on a consistent basis, improve the sharpness of some of his pitches, improve his changeup. So all of that keeps coming. So we still are looking at an elite pitcher, and we'll just see where it fits in, because as we know, we never have too much starting pitching.
The Phillies have done as well as anybody in free agency, signing Harper. Certainly Wheeler has been a huge star. Another guy who's been a great signing is Schwarber, and he's having a terrific season. He is a free agent after the year, so I wanted to ask you what your plans are for him in the future.
Well, Schwarber has been fantastic for us. 4 years. We've made it to the postseason the previous 3, and I hope again we do it this year. He's not only a quality performer, he's a clubhouse. He's a gamer. He's what you want out of club. I mean, we'd love to keep him as part of the organization for the long term. There's no doubt. We'll see where that takes us. He's putting up big numbers, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of other clubs that are interested in him too, but we'd love to keep him part of the organization and hope that it happens.
Dave, your reputation is, when you have the kind of team you have, is to try to address whatever you see as the needs. I wonder, just broadly, we're kind of 2 months away from the trade deadline. What do you think is the responsibility of the top baseball executive for a contending team when it comes to the trading deadline?
Well, it's hard for me to draw that summation for everybody because everybody's in different situations. You have different markets, you have different clubs, you have different ownership, you have different finances. So there's a lot of different things. But for me, it's in my role here and where I've been fortunate to work, it's try to strengthen your club however you can to win in the postseason. Now, there's still limitations as far as finances are concerned for everybody in general. You're also still concerned about your future. I mean, you can get a lot of different players if you sacrifice all your future. So you're trying to be in a position where you combine not only winning now, but also thinking about the future and sustaining for years to come. But for me, it's to do your homework with your scouts and with your analytical people and cover everybody that you possibly can, know what your needs are, be prepared. And then when it gets down, now you'll make a trade anytime you can, but the problem becomes is a lot of organizations don't want to react till closer to the trading deadline because nowadays we're in a position where there are very few clubs that don't have a chance to be in the postseason due to the wild card situation. So I think for me, it's to try to get your club to put in your position to address any weaknesses that you may have as well as you can, and then to try to address those, add somebody or add multiple players and try to win a championship.
I think going in, we perceived the NL East as a three-team dogfight, three excellent teams. Do you still think it is a three-team dogfight? The Braves have obviously struggled. And what have you seen from the Mets so far?
Well, the Mets are very good. I mean, they beat us last year in the postseason. They continue to be a quality club, and it's going to be a dogfight all year long. We need to play better versus the Mets. We haven't done that over the last couple of years, but I think we can. So it's a situation where the Mets are very good, and the Braves, they're a good. They started off 0-7. If you take that away, they're above 500. They've just added Strider back. He's not quite the Strider yet, but it's coming. You end up in a position where you got Acuna coming back. I mean, he's one of the best players in baseball. So they have a quality ball club, and they're going to be there at the end. I don't want to look past either. I don't think Washington's ready to compete to win a championship yet, but they have a lot of good young players on their team. And I think that when they get going, they can beat anybody. So, but I would say if you were talking about, I think all three clubs have a chance to be in the postseason and be in a position that everybody's tough.
Dave, you've had one of the better teams in baseball now for several years in Philadelphia. And I wonder, as a way to close, if I could ask kind of a dual question. Number one, the obvious, everyone aches to win, but that this group has pretty much stayed together, which is not something that happens a lot. How important is it to you that this group wins? And also, Wheeler, Nola, a lot of your position players up in their mid-30s. How long do you think you could keep this going to have a shot in the lottery every year, this kind of lottery of winning it all?
Right. Well, I think that we're in a situation here where I think we can continue to be a good club. And I think the reason we can continue to be a good club is that not only the players we have here, but we have a good farms. Our AAA club is as good as anybody in baseball, and not just record-wise, but we have a lot of we got Crawford, and we've got this kid Kemp, and we've got Rincones, and we talked about Abel, and we talked about Painter, and then we've got guys like Miller. So we have some young players getting ready to join this group. I think it's really important for us to try to win with this group. You're not going to be able to keep them all together forever. It just is not going to happen. We've got free agents at the end of the year: Schwarber, Suarez, Kepler, who just new this year, JT. So it's hard to keep everybody together. And I think you also have to be cognizant that you don't want to get age all together at one time too. That's why the influx of young players is extremely important, because then I think that combination can keep you a good club for years to come. I also do think when you talk about people like Wheeler, and you talk about Turner, you talk about Harper, you talk about Nola. These guys are in great shape. They're really good athletes. They're good shape and they work hard, and we have a great training and physical fitness group. So the ability to play later into their careers and continue to do so, I think we have that ability to sustain that. But again, I don't think we'll be able to keep all our group together. It's just the natural, because you have to be in a situation where you're cognizant that you don't want to get too old as a club either.
Well, Dave, your team, as we're speaking, is won 10 of 11. As I mentioned earlier, you have the best record in the major leagues. And more important to John and myself, you're a real friend of our business and a friend of this show. You've come on several times, and I know I speak for John. We appreciate you joining us on the show.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Good to chat with you guys. And John, I'm not going to say, because I'm not getting in any trouble, but I'm going to hold you to that special food order that we have coming. So
Right. Yeah, I promised him some jumbo stone crabs from Joe's. Come on.
that's always an enticement. He knows that's a weakness.
Yeah, we've seen each other there a couple times.
Yeah,
It's a favorite of all of us Miami residents or former Miami residents.
for sure. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. Talk to you guys soon.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Dave.
Dave.
All the best.
You too. Bye-bye.
John and I, of course, thank Dave Dombrowski for joining us on the show. John, hit or error?
I feel guilty. I gave out an error last week. I'm back to a hit. We're surprisingly upbeat this year. Carlos Rodon has been fantastic. Leads MLB 5.1 hits per 9 innings. He's the best in baseball at that. His whip is under 1. He's got 80 strikeouts, third in the league to Skubal and Crochet, two pretty good pitchers. He has really turned it around. He was terrible the first year, mediocre the second, and this is the guy that they paid $162 million for. I don't know whether it's the beard. He's gotten the mojo from that. Wish Devin Williams would get the mojo from the beard, but certainly Rodon is himself again. He's not throwing 99 as he did in Chicago or 98 as he did in San Francisco, but he's developed new pitches. He's really a pitcher, and he's a strikeout artist, and the ERA under 3, and it probably should be even better than that. He's had a couple of 3-run homers early that we always referenced at the time as a real negative, but all positive for Carlos Rodon right now.
John, just so the listeners know, we do not discuss any of our stuff before the show. We were playing.
We don't even talk. We never talk to each other.
No,
This is it.
This is how the relationship works. We were thinking about doing positive and negative surprises. My positive surprise was, and I was going to do it just now, was Carlos Rodon. Because of a little bit what I said earlier about Beatty. This is not a city where it's easy to get knocked down. It's more likely to be Ed Whitson, Javier Vasquez, Sonny Gray than to ever actually get back up. And I thought very quietly, if you talk to Yankee people, that one of the thoughts they had on putting Fried and Cole together was they might be able to de-emphasize Rodon and get more out of him by asking less and getting more. Well, the moment Cole gets hurt, they have to ask more of Rodon. And Rodon, to your point, he did the AJ Burnett thing the first few starts. His stuff was great. He gave up 2 3-run homers when he couldn't, and it looked terrible. But since then, I would use the word he's pitched maturely. Like there was a game he gave up some runs early, he still stuck around for 6. He has to be an innings eater besides everything else, along with Fried, to be able to have Yarborough, to be able to have, the kid in the rotation. So like he's pitched maturely, he's pitched terrific, his repertoire has expanded. And I'm shocked. I thought he was AJ Burnett. I thought he was the left-handed AJ Burnett. You would always be blown away by the stuff. But there'd be this thing that would linger out there is, can you hand him responsibility? He has taken responsibility this year and been a terrific co-pilot with Fried leading a surprisingly good rotation.
I get that comparison. Both guys threw about 100 at their peak. Terrific talent, and we're not great to start in New York. I get that. It's good he has a 6-year deal, so he had plenty of rope there, and we're only in 3, so it feels very positive. He's got 3 years to go. Personality-wise, I got to give Rodon over Burnett, though. I mean, come on, Rodon. Rodon,
I'm with you, John.
Terrific day, even when he was doing terrible, he's great in that clubhouse. I mean, I had no idea what a nice guy he is and how he really stood up and accepted. I know there was a hickey or two early when he turned his back on, or he didn't, something with Matt Blake, right? I mean, it was like a second. It was 1 second. The guy's been fantastic every way you can be fantastic off the field, and now on the field, he is matching that.
Yes, John, a stand-up guy in the clubhouse. So yes, I mean Burnett came here on a 5-year contract also, and they gave up on him after 2 years. They traded him, and by the way, in year one they won a World Series, and he pitched one of the most important games in that
Right.
run to do it. So he had his high points, but this has been a complete turnaround as far as length of stuff, trustworthiness, just his ability to stay calm in the storm. Like I thought he got over emotional on the mound those first 2 years with the Yankees. It's just been a tremendous turnaround. So, John, like I don't think we both give out hits very often. We certainly don't give it out for the same guy very often, but it was nice that we both had a similar thought here going into this. I think we always have the same thought about how great Tommy Hogan is and being able to navigate us through the show week to week. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, please rate and review us. That always helps. New York Post Sports YouTube page, give us a view, and please stick with us on the show with Joel, Sherman, and Jon Heyman.